Hi everyone, this is Mr. Neil Writer, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for tuning into my latest video. For anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm a UK-based consultant audiologist and clinical ear care specialist. I'm also the founder and director of a company called Clearwax, and we developed the iClearscope, which is the wireless endoscope that we use to perform the procedure and record the procedure. We also train ear professionals around the UK and internationally also in endoscopic earwax removal, and we also have an online portal where you can, if you're in the UK at least, you can find your nearest Clearwax earwax removal specialist. So please visit our website, which is www.clearwax.co.uk. I've just got a couple of clients procedures that I've uploaded today. So this is the left ear of the first client. They've got very glutinous earwax, very sticky earwax with a few skin adhesions. This patient is a regular. They have to attend every 6 months. You can just see there, because it's glutinous, it's just blocked my tube, so I'm just wriggling the tube, trying to unblock it. And sod's law is, as soon as I come back out of the ear with the suction probe, it unblocks itself. Yeah, so they've got very narrow ear canal entrances. You'll see that every time I enter the ear, you'll see that I have to stretch the ear canal ajar open. And I use the Zollner suction probe to do that. And next time we'll just wait until the next clip where I'm out of the ear and I re-enter the ear, and I'll just talk you through how we do that. So the secret with glutinous wax like this, you want to just kiss the surface of the wax, because otherwise, even then, you run the risk of blocking the tube. But if you go in gung-ho with the suction probe, you're just digging it into the soft wax and blocking the tube straight away. So you just saw there, I just went into the ear and I lifted the cartilage, the concha cartilage up, which then allows me access, so you'll see it in a moment. So I'm just lifting the cartilage up, widening the ear. The outer third of the ear canal is flexible, it's made up of cartilage, it's semi-sensitive, we can apply a bit of pressure on it. The inner 2/3 of the ear canal, it's a very thin layer of skin directly on bone, that's not flexible, and it can be very sensitive if you make contact with the ear canal. So I'm just mopping up some of this soft wax, and this is probably one of the reasons why they have to come regularly, because they've got sticky earwax. As it's migrating out of the ear, it's sticking to the canal wall, and the entrance is narrow, so it gets trapped. So I'm just using a fine end gauge. So this piece of wax here, some people may be mistaking that for a cholesteatoma, because that's generally where a cholesteatoma develops. So a cholesteatoma is a collection of dead skin that hasn't migrated out of the ear canal, and it normally occurs if you've got a retraction pocket. So if your eardrum is sucked in, if it's buckled inwards at the top, it creates a little retraction pocket. And so that sometimes can look like a cholesteatoma, but it wasn't, it was just soft wax. Bit of dead keratin around the edge, and just mopping that up. And the eardrum, you can see the patient has what we call tympanosclerosis, so that's a scarring, a calcification of the eardrum. The scarring generally happens in the middle layer of the eardrum. So the eardrum is made up of 3 membranes. The thickness of the eardrum is probably around 1 millimeter, so it's wafer thin, and the calcification, the scar tissue, normally occurs in the middle of those 3 eardrums. You can see she's got it anteriorly, so to the left, and posteriorly to the right. Reasons for tympanosclerosis is previous ear surgery, ear trauma, ear infections, barotrauma, so if you're going scuba diving, or sudden change in air pressure, acoustic trauma, so if you're exposed to loud sounds on a regular basis, that can cause scarring of the eardrum, but typically it's post-operative, so scar tissue, and also if you've had an infection, so glue ear, something along those lines. Just doing the right side again, the wax is a bit mushy. It's not as mushy as the left side. It wasn't as occluding. I would say this is 3/4 block, but we normally just remove the wax on both ears whenever they attend. So I'm just going to lift this from the base of the ear canal because there's a bit of keratin attached. There we I'll just gently lift that keratin. Going to be careful with keratin, it can clarinet, and clarinetting is when dead skin flaps violently at the tip of the suction probe, and it emits a very, very high frequency squeal, which is almost deafening, not only for the patient but for myself. So you're going to be very careful that you don't have clarinetting when you're removing dead skin, and sometimes that's why we just leave a bit of skin in the ear, because it's not worth it. It's not going to improve their symptoms, and you run the risk of clarinetting noise exposure, which can cause temporary or permanent hearing loss. It can cause temporary or permanent tinnitus. So sometimes less is more, guys, when you're performing earwax removal. So you can see she's got a small tympanosclerotic patch anterior to the front of the eardrum to the right. There's just some dead skin here. So I'm just using a Jobson horn. So we're on the cartilage portion, so we can put a bit of pressure. So this is the flexible portion of the ear canal, and it's semi-sensitive. If this was on the bony part of the ear canal, we would have just left well alone because it would have been too uncomfortable. Trying to avoid the suction because we just don't want it to clarinet, because there is some dead skin there. Just going back in to mop up the rest. So quite commonly in people's ears, there's a blind spot as you enter the ear, so to the rear of the ear canal as soon as you enter. So on the right ear it's to the left, and when it's on the left ear it's to the right, there's a little blind spot there, which, well, it's not blind with an endoscope, because we can see everything with an endoscope. And you generally get some wax hiding or some dead keratin hiding in that blind spot. So this is patient 2. This patient left a lovely review today on my the Hair Clinic Google page, so feel free to read that. So they've been using cotton buds. I know that's bad. Patient kind of realised that shouldn't have done that. And you can, this is the outer layer. So this patient had 3 layers of earwax. So this is the outer layer, which is a bit kind of, how would you describe it? A bit soft and gooey. There's loads of skin adhesions here, so it is adhered to the canal wall. So we're just trying to elevate this off the canal wall. And because I know already they've been using earbuds, this wax is very likely to be impacted against the eardrum. So the last thing I want to do is put additional pressure on this wax as to push it forwards towards the eardrum. So we're just very gently just trying to tease this off the canal wall. And with the suction probe, again, I don't want to put too much pressure against the wax. We just want to hover over it. So we don't want to be pushing this wax any further against the eardrum, because it's already impacted against the eardrum, which you will see a bit later on in the procedure. So just little wriggle motions, little wriggle movements, that helps to release the dead keratin, the skin that's adhered to the canal wall. So I've loosened it off the posterior canal wall, so the back part. Now I'm releasing it from the base of the ear canal wall. I'm going to go to the anterior canal wall, so to the left, to the front, there we are. And then in a moment I'm going to go to the roof of the ear canal as well, so the superior aspect. So we are wriggling and extracting this wax forward, you can tell, because the cilia, the hairs, are becoming in view again. The hair follicles are always in the outer part of the ear canal, the outer third. That's where the hair follicles grow. You don't get hair follicles in the inner 2/3 of the ear canal, where the bony part of the ear canal is. And generally speaking, also the ceruminous glands and the sebaceous glands, which are the glands that ceruminous glands secrete sweat. Sebaceous glands secrete a substance called sebum, which contains alcohols, long chains of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids, alcohols, squalenes, and that all combined creates an oily substance, and that combines with the sweat, and it combines with dead skin to form earwax. They're all on the outer third of the ear canal. So whenever you see wax very deep in the ear like this, you have to ask the question, the first question you ask, have you been poking in your ears? How did it get so deep? Now, in some cases, as the wax is being secreted, it's not naturally coming out, so then you get a backlog almost. The wax, you're getting an overproduction of wax, and it has to obviously then go backwards because it's got nowhere, it can't come out the ear. So just say you've got a very narrow ear canal and the wax, or it's sticky and it gets trapped near the front, you then get a natural buildup which then goes backwards because it's got nowhere else to go. So this is the second layer of wax. It's a bit dry, a bit matted. So again, why is that hair there? So we know the patient has been pushing. And this is the final layer. It's really directly impacted onto the eardrum. So again, these procedures, you're just going to have a really steady hand. You're going to be very gentle. This is quite literally stuck, so I'm just teasing it. And you've got to be careful with the suction probe. You don't want to be making, because you can see just at the bottom, we're very close to the base of the ear canal wall and the anterior canal wall. We don't want to be making contact with that with the Zollner suction probe. But at the same time, I want to wriggle this wax. So I've got two things on my mind here. I'm just trying to loosen this wax, really wriggling it, but I also want to avoid contact with the canal wall, because that if we make contact with the canal wall there, it would be uncomfortable. Just release that. Now, you could go in with a fine end. I didn't, because I know this piece was just too stubborn and too large a piece for a fine end. A fine end wouldn't have been powerful enough. There's a tympanic membrane, so it's slightly inflamed just because the wax has been impacted, but it won't be causing any problems. Just a bit of dead keratin there, you can see at the base of the ear canal near the entrance, so just mopping that up. You see that part there, it's probably where they've grazed the ear with the Q-tip, the cotton bud. So just maybe a bit careful with this region, I know this is the part where they've probably made contact with the canal wall. And that will all heal over. And this is the same client right here. So the wax, I would say it's semi-occluding. See the eardrums, it's not impacted. Quite a dry piece of wax. So here I can just use an ear hook. I can safely, there's a large enough opening for me to get in and behind and just hook this wax out in one big piece. After I moved the wax in the left ear, they then kind of realised, oh, my right ear is not as good. When they attended, they felt the right ear, it was fine, because that's in relative, when you're comparing it to the left, obviously the right ear wasn't as bad. But when the left ear is cleared, and suddenly your brain switches onto the right ear, thinking, oh God, well, this one's a bit blocked now. So just using the side of the ear hook just to kind of release some dead skin. I'm going to go in with a suction probe in a minute, just to mop up like I did on the left side. Patient was over the moon. As I said, they left a lovely review. I think they were hoping that I do put their video up, so you know who you are, so I've given you a copy of the video as well. So that's the remnants of this patient's left and right ear. I'd also weighed the wax. It wasn't that heavy in total, so 369 milligrams, so just under 0.4 grams. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. I hope you're all having a great evening, and I shall speak to you soon. Thanks, bye.